Good morning, America. Countdown to the election. Just 17 more days. The vice president and the former president barnstorming critical swing states, ramping up the attacks and making promises on the economy. Plus, the latest evidence just released in Trump's election interference case, 2,000 pages worth.
New details about Israel's killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, mastermind of the October 7th massacre. Could his death lead to new hopes for a ceasefire, even as Hamas promises to ramp up its operations?
Delphi murder trial, the opening statements on the horrific crime scene, what the DA says happened to the two teenage girls, and why the defense says Richard Allen could not have committed the crime.
Rescued at sea, a 17-year-old boy clinging to his kayak for 12 hours, desperately fighting ocean currents.
I was drifting off like super far. I didn't know what to do.
How he survived and the efforts that led to his rescue.
Super Sports Weekend. The Lynx force a do-or-die game against the Liberty for the WNBA crown. The Mets live to fight another day. The Yankees a win away from the World Series. And ESPN's Desmond Howard has the lowdown on the big college football matchups.
And rock and roll's big night as the Hall of Fame welcomes the class of 2024 GMA with the behind-the-scenes sneak peek with the artists who have something to celebrate.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good morning, America. Yeah. Party going on to start the weekend. A good Saturday to you. Such a busy weekend ahead. We've got a lot to cover in sports. The WNBA Championship Series heading to a must-win Game 5 tomorrow. After that dramatic 82-80 Lynx win over the Liberty. We've got the highlights coming up.
Yeah, you've been Googling all your stats and everything ready for those segments.
I've got lots of them.
A lot more to cover this morning. Also, the FAA with an urgent investigation how two planes, a single-engine Cessna and a packed American Airlines jet, came within 400 feet of each other, narrowly avoiding disaster.
That is a wild story, but with just 17 days to go, Vice President Harris and former President Trump are focusing on the crucial swing states and nearly crossing paths. Harris bringing in some big names this weekend, while Trump campaigns in Pennsylvania. And ABC News White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks is following it all, and she leads us off this morning. Good morning, MaryAlice.
Yeah, good morning, Gio. That's right. Harris is set to appear this weekend with musicians Lizzo and Usher. She's really been picking up the pace of her campaign. Both candidates had multiple stops throughout Michigan yesterday. At one point, they were both in Detroit, tailoring their message to the auto industry.
With just 17 days to go until Election Day, former President Trump and Vice President Harris crisscrossing the state of Michigan. Harris sharpening her attacks.
He makes big promises, and he always fails to deliver.
Calling Trump out for refusing to debate her again.
If you are exhausted on the campaign trail, it raises real questions about whether you are fit for the toughest job in the world.
Trump pushing back.
I've gone 48 days now without arrest. And I've got that loser who doesn't have the energy of a rabbit.
Polls show Michigan a total toss-up. In 2016, Trump won the state by fewer than 10,000 votes, but lost in 2020 by over 150,000 votes. Both candidates focusing on the future of the auto industry. Harris meeting with auto worker union members in Lansing, Michigan.
We will ensure that the next generation of breakthroughs, from advanced batteries to electric vehicles, are not just invented, but built right here in America by American union workers.
Trump talking about his plan to impose steep tariffs on imported cars.
If I get elected, I'm not going to let them sell cars into our country in order to destroy the rest of Michigan.
The war in Gaza front and center for voters in Michigan, too. The state has one of the largest Arab American populations in the country. Trump commenting on Israel killing Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, praising Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the war, quote, moving along pretty good.
He's doing a good job. Biden is trying to hold him back.
Harris telling her crowd outside Detroit Sinwar's death should be a turning point.
Everyone must seize this opportunity to finally end the war in Gaza, bring the hostages home.
Now, early in-person voting starts in some places in Michigan this weekend. In more than 20 states, people can already go now in person to vote. And a big win for North Carolina. That state this week breaking its early turnout record for its first day of early in-person voting. The head of the State Board of Elections there saying that it was a sign that people trust the election, that voters are energized, and that the hurricane there will not stop them.
Plenty of energy already in this campaign. Thank you, MaryAlice Parks. We appreciate it. And with a little more than 2 weeks to go until Election Day, Special Counsel Jack Smith has released nearly 2,000 pages of evidence in Trump's election interference case. ABC's Jay O'Brien is here now with more on that. Jay, good morning.
Whit, good morning. This is a rare glimpse into hundreds of pages of evidence prosecutors have of what they say was former President Trump's coordinated effort to overturn the results of the last election. So much of what's in here is redacted, but they do contain a newly unveiled interview with a White House valet who told investigators he personally told Trump about the Capitol riot as it was happening. Trump ultimately took hours to tell rioters to go home. A lot of what we can see in here we already knew before, including that infamous tweet where Trump posted to his more than 80 million followers about January 6th saying, quote, "Be there, will be wild." And all of this is, though, notable because first, in this new campaign, Trump has tried to rewrite the history of the previous election and of the Capitol attack. And with just 17 days to go until those final votes are now cast, Trump is again appearing to lay the groundwork to cast doubts on the results of this election. Just recently telling a podcast he's going to win if the election is, quote, not rigged. Whit.
Yeah, starting to see some of that familiar language there. And Jay, there's also this new congressional report accusing the former president of overcharging the Secret Service on rooms at one of his hotels.
Exactly right, Whit. This is a report compiled by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. They accuse the Trump organization of consistently jacking up the price of hotel rooms for Secret Service agents in Trump's then D.C. hotel. One example they give is when the agency approved a waiver for a room that was allegedly priced up above 300% above the standard government rate. The Trump organization denies all of this, and they have said they don't profit on hotel room sales or any kind of sales to government employees staying at their properties. Whit.
All right, Jay O'Brien, thank you. Janae?
All right. Well, turning overseas now to the Middle East, both Israel and Hamas doubling down in their positions following Israel's killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge has the latest from Israel, where the country fended off new drone attacks this morning. Tom, good morning to you.
Good morning, Janae. Yeah, more worrying signs for this region. Hezbollah upping its drone attacks into northern Israel, with one drone flying deep into Israel towards Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's house. It comes after Israel killed the leader of Hamas and the architect of the October 7 terror attack. This morning, it looks like we're seeing Hezbollah's response. This morning, Hezbollah escalating its rocket and drone attacks into northern Israel. Israel's Iron Dome air defense in full swing, but several drones getting through. One devastating this residential area where 2 people were injured. In a city nearby, 1 man was killed. And in a major breach of Israel's air defense, another drone heading towards Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's residence further to the south. Netanyahu not there at the time and no casualties, but officials saying one structure in the area was hit. Hezbollah responding after Israel killed the leader of Hamas and the architect of the October 7 terror attack. Yahya Sinwar's body seen here lying in the rubble Wednesday after an IDF patrol came across him by chance. This new video showing the moment an Israeli tank fired on the building where he was sheltering. Israeli officials saying Sinwar's DNA was found close to the tunnel where 6 hostages, including American Hersh Goldberg Polin, were killed in August. This Israeli military drone video capturing Sinwar's final moments. You can see him sitting in a chair, badly wounded by gunfire. Hamas now confirming Sinwar's death, saying he was defiant to the very end, even throwing a stick at the drone. Hamas vowing to keep fighting and not to release the 97 hostages, including 7 Americans, until Israel withdraws from Gaza. But the IDF conducting a major military operation in northern Gaza, with more than 30 people killed in the past 24 hours, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. And guys, President Biden has called the killing of Sinwar an opportunity to try and get a ceasefire in Lebanon and maybe in Gaza. But this morning, Proof once again that this is a regional war which is escalating on multiple fronts, and Israel is still weighing its retaliatory strike on Iran, which could come at any moment. Gio?
So much to watch there. All right, Tom, thank you for your reporting. Now to the long-awaited trial of Richard Allen, the man authorities say killed 2 teenage girls in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. The prosecution is already calling its first witnesses, and ABC's Ike Ejachi is here now with the latest on this. Good morning, Ike.
Good morning, Gio. For the first time, we're hearing the brutal details about the murders of those 2 girls. The prosecution laying down the foundation of this case to 3 important details. This morning, opening statements in the long-awaited trial of Richard Allen, who's charged with the brutal murders of 13-year-old Abby Williams and her friend 14-year-old Libby German. Abby and Libby disappearing in the small, close-knit community of Delphi, Indiana, after going for a hike at the Monon High Bridge Trail. Their bodies discovered on Valentine's Day in 2017. Prosecutors say the case is about 3 things: the brutal murders of Libby and Abby, the unspent bullet found at the scene, and the bridge guy.
They have to show that this investigation was perfect, ironclad, or at least good enough that there's no reasonable doubt.
In court, the prosecutors saying that after the teens crossed that bridge, they noticed a man behind them. At 2:13 p.m., Libby recording on her phone, capturing this video allegedly showing the suspect. The man, investigators say, pulling out a gun and ordering the girls down the hill, heard in this chilling audio. The prosecutor telling the jury, "You're going to see the crime scene. It was a gruesome scene." Investigators also finding a bullet at the crime scene. Tests showing it cycled through a gun they say was found inside Allen's home.
That shell casing could have also come from a gun on Ron Logan's property, where the 2 victims' bodies were found.
The defense in their opening statement raising questions about DNA evidence, also arguing cell phone records show Allen left the area by 2:15 p.m. The prosecution claiming the girls were dead by 4 p.m. On the witness stand, Libby's grandmother describing the search for the girls and the heartbreak after learning they'd been killed. "I saw the coroner's van driving by, and that's when I realized they weren't alive." The defense telling the jury they believe the girls were killed somewhere else and their bodies were returned to the crime scene. Meanwhile, the proceedings will continue today with the judge sequestering the jury for what could be a month-long trial, giving them only Sundays off. Allen is charged with 2 counts of murder, among other charges. Whit?
All right, Ike Ejachi, thank you. The NTSB is investigating what could have been a disaster at the Austin airport this week. A single-engine Cessna and an American Airlines passenger jet in an alarming close call. ABC's Jacqueline Lee joins us now with details. Jacqueline, good morning.
Whit, good morning. These planes came within just 400 feet of each other and seconds from disaster. This morning, the FAA is now investigating why a single-engine Cessna entered the flight path of an American Airlines flight that was about to land at Austin Bergstrom International Airport on Wednesday. The 2 planes on a collision course. The American Airlines crew receiving a cockpit alarm from the anti-collision system. That alert allowing the pilots to turn and avoid colliding with the single-engine plane. In a statement, American Airlines said, "We thank our crew members for their professionalism and expertise and for always prioritizing safety above all else." And according to a video shared by Flight Radar 24, the Cessna was not on the same radio channel as it was arriving to the airport. Air traffic control gave instructions and all planes landed safely. Gio.
Thank goodness for that crew and that alert system. All right, Jacqueline, thank you so much. Now to a dramatic rescue at sea. An off-duty lifeguard saving a stranded teenager who'd been fighting the Pacific Ocean currents for 12 hours in Hawaii. Take a look. Overnight, newly released Coast Guard video showing the harrowing rescue of a 17-year-old lost at sea after spending nearly 12 hours clinging to his kayak off the coast of Oahu.
As I started drifting away, it just got darker and darker, and I kind of just, I freaked out for maybe a couple of minutes.
Kahiao Kawai was separated from his high school paddling team after his kayak capsized late Wednesday afternoon.
I knew I had to go to my boat because it was more stable. I knew it would probably keep me safer.
I got an alert for a water rescue in the town area.
Local lifeguard and family friend Nolan Kiaulana hearing the news.
I was just kind of being hopeful and just letting the rescuers do the work.
Kiaulana springing into action, borrowing a boat and getting on the water to look for Kahiao, spending the next several hours searching for the teen when suddenly...
I see them drop this this orange flare into the water.
It was a Coast Guard plane.
The plane's able to track me. This kayak popped up in my view.
That Coast Guard crew spotting Cahiao from the air, directing Keaulana toward him, finally rescuing the teen.
That was like priceless. So it was an incredible feeling making the call to the parents. It was really emotional seeing that he's alive and on my boat.
And this morning, his family grateful for their son's safe return.
My uncle Nolan, he's a great waterman, and he really knows how the ocean works, and I think that's what saved me.
Wow, just incredible.
Yeah.
And Cahiao was treated at the hospital for some injuries and hypothermia, but the good news is he's reported to be in stable condition right now.
12 hours.
12 hours.
Incredible.
And you know what it's like with that Pacific Ocean in Hawaii. Yeah.
Just unimaginable.
Yeah.
Thank you for that story, Gio. Now to the latest on the investigation into the death of One Direction star Liam Payne. A source telling ABC News a hotel employee in Argentina is suspected of providing drugs to the pop star the day he died. ABC's Melissa Don has the latest on this. Melissa, good morning.
Good morning, Janae. So what we're learning is that these new details into what just may have led up to Liam Payne's sudden death. Now, we know so far from Argentinian state police that Payne fell from the 3rd floor of his hotel room. Well, now we've learned that a hotel employee is suspected of giving Payne drugs the day he died. Now, all this according to an ABC News source with the Argentinian state police. Now, this hotel employee has not been arrested and no charges have been filed against them at this time, according to our ABC News source. The prosecutor's office, however, confirms that these photos shared with ABC News appearing to show drugs and a smashed television were taken inside Payne's hotel room. Now, Payne's preliminary autopsy report says his death was the result of multiple traumas and internal and external bleeding, adding that Payne didn't seem to adopt a reflex posture to protect himself and that he may have fallen while in a state of semi or total unconsciousness. Now, all of this as fans continue to mourn the beloved former One Direction star. Liam Payne's girlfriend, Kate Cassidy, calling him her angel, sharing in part on social media. I have been at complete loss. Nothing about the past few days have felt real. I want you to know I loved you unconditionally and completely. Now, the pop star's father, Jeff Payne, is in Buenos Aires to arrange for the return of his son's body to the UK. All of this, of course, as the investigation into his death, including his final autopsy report, are still being examined. Gio?
Oh, it is just so sad, Melissa. We are thinking, of course, of all of those people who loved him so much. All right, Melissa, thank you so much. All right, let's switch gears now and talk about the weather here, because Lee Goldberg from our station here in New York, WABC, is here with a look at the weather. And there's a lot going on in the West.
There is. Thanks for having me back, guys. Good to see you all. And we start out west. It's really a case of fire and ice. So first, it's Oakland, California. And this is the Keller fire. So 2 homes have been impacted by this. It's 35% contained. But it's one of 3 fires that's getting air support. The Hay fire between San Francisco and Sacramento, 869 acres burned. So that's because of the system in the 4 corners and a lot of wind. I mean, humidities are down at about 5%, some wind gusts of 55 miles an hour. Thankfully, they die down as we go through the rest of the weekend. Now, the other side of it is the snow. This is above 11,000 feet at Wolf Creek Pass, but the levels have gone down to about 6,000 to 8,000 feet, maybe 1 to 2 feet of additional snow south and east of Telluride. They got 6 inches of fresh snow at Big Sky, their first of the season. In our next weather, we'll introduce you to Nadine, a new tropical storm, and summer's returning to the east, guys. So I bring the warmth for you.
Now, wait a second.
Hold on, we got to show Lee's fashion game this morning.
Yeah.
We packed within the
Look at him there.
That's designed by my daughter, Millie.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Also, Lee, what Gio meant to say in introducing you is we are so excited to have the Lee Goldberg here. Just wanted to make sure you had your big introduction.
I did sign up for the Rachel Scott Love, and I think I got a little bit of it right there. That's nice.
There you go.
We'll chat with you just a bit. We do turn now to the WNBA Finals. The series headed to a decisive Game 5 tomorrow after the Lynx tied things up last night. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more on that. Morgan, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Yeah, nail biter. Seriously, if you were to zoom into my hands, you'll see that I chewed them down to the nubs. The New York Liberty, they were looking to bring the trophy home to the Big Apple, but after a dramatic loss that, by the way, came down to the final seconds, that series is now tied, leaving both the Liberty and the Lynx looking to seal the deal in Game 5.
There will be a Game 5 This morning, the WNBA Finals headed to Game 5.
The Lynx hold off the Liberty.
In a thriller that came down to mere seconds, the Minnesota Lynx forcing a winner-takes-all matchup.
Carlton is fouled.
It was close from the jump, from tip-off to the final buzzer.
Ionescu, more magic.
The Liberty and Lynx trading leads and going shot for shot. Courtney Williams in her bag. Rallying the Lynx through a strong first half.
Coach challenged you today at shoot-around to get in your bag. How deep are you in it right now? A minute.
The final 4 minutes, both teams trading big plays. Bridget Carlton and Kayla McBridge sinking three-pointers for Minnesota.
McBride hits it.
Leonie Fevich downing a three-pointer for New York.
New York needs it. They've got it.
And with just 2 seconds left, Carlton sinking 2 free throws.
Minnesota by 2.
Putting the Lynx 1 game closer to a WNBA championship title.
82-80.
The New York Liberty have made the WNBA Finals 5 times, but never clinching the title. The Lynx looking for their first trophy since 2017.
All right, so it's Game 5, but the series itself is also a victory, of course, for women's sports, the WNBA. They've been celebrating a season of record viewership, ticket sales, and enthusiasm. And guys, it is serious, both on and off the court. I don't know if that you've seen this on X. Both the mascot for the Lynx and the Liberty, they've been going back and forth. You know, Ellie don't play.
No.
The elephant don't play.
Oh my gosh, we're not going to zoom into your nails, but shoot them down to the nubs.
To the nubs, you know.
Oh.
Don't judge. It was a game.
Thank you so much, Morgan. And still coming up here on GMA, key states in play with Election Day just 2.5 weeks away. Can you believe it? Our political rundown with MaryAlice Parks and Avery Harper coming up.
And it's College Football Week 8. ESPN's Desmond Howard joins us to preview the big matchups, including number 5 Georgia taking on Texas, the nation's top-ranked team.
And Florida strong, rays of hope for the Sunshine State recovering from Hurricane Milton, the latest on all the efforts pouring in.
If I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I'd take back those words that hurt you, and you'd stay.
All the good music on a Saturday morning. Welcome back to GMA here. The class of 2024 is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame tonight. And coming up, Whit is going to have a sneak peek into tonight's induction ceremony, which includes some big names like Cher, A Tribe Called Quest, and Ozzy Osbourne, to name a few.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Tribe Called Quest, I love it.
Such
Can I
good
kick
music.
it?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. You wouldn't leave me hanging.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other big stories that we're following on this Saturday morning happening right now. A massive nationwide power outage in Cuba, leaving the entire island of 10 million people in the dark Friday. Residents waking up to no electricity, using flashlights and candles. Authorities say one of the island's major power plants failed, knocking the entire grid offline. They say power has been trickling back on.
Also right now, the federal government has opened an investigation into Tesla's self-driving feature after reports of 4 crashes, which included a pedestrian being killed by a vehicle. The investigation says the Tesla vehicles didn't react appropriately to reduce roadway visibility conditions such as sun glare, fog, or airborne dust. Almost 2.5 million Teslas are under investigation.
And New York fans are still hoping for a baseball Subway Series. The New York Mets keeping their season alive after a Game 5 win against the LA Dodgers last night. The Dodgers now lead 3-2 in the best-of-7 National League Championship Series. And in the American League Series, the New York Yankees are now 1 win away from the World Series after defeating the Cleveland Guardians 8-6.
Wow, between the Yankees and the Mets and the Liberty, New York sports are hot.
They're fired up.
Absolutely.
Yes, the only thing hotter are politics as we count down to the election. And we start this half hour with a closer look at the top campaign headlines this week with 17 days to go before the election. We welcome back Deputy Political Director Avery Harper and in Washington, ABC White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks. Ladies, thank you both for being back with us this morning. MaryAlice, let's start with you. Vice President Harris closed out this week campaigning in Michigan and Wisconsin. Polls show both those states are still a toss-up in the margin of error. If she can't put those away, I mean, that's like the election for her, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke just yesterday with the head of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, and he also said that he views the state as a total toss-up still. He predicted that the state would be decided by less than 1%. That means likely a recount. That is similar to what we saw in 2020, but they still believe it is absolutely that close. And you're exactly right. If she can't put away the upper Midwest, Wisconsin, Michigan, the whole rest of the map just gets so much harder for her. And you also just think about the issues. You know, there's a lot of money being spent in that area from oil and gas companies trying to push back against her campaign. She has to contend with that. But look, this is the industrial hub, the Midwest sort of manufacturing hub of the country. So it's really a test to see whether her economic message about building an economy of the future is breaking through.
And Avery, next up here, we're seeing both campaigns with targeted outreach to voters. We're seeing the Trump campaign trying to reach women, the Harris campaign trying to reach black men, also Republicans who may be on the fence. Any signals that that's working yet for either side?
I mean, well, the campaigns are really hoping that it moves the needle. We know that there is a gender gap when it comes to the support of these two candidates, and that's why we saw Trump reaching out to women in that town hall, calling himself the father of IVF, still trying to find a winning message on reproductive rights, also speaking with Latino voters. Of course, black voters, in particular men, are important to Kamala Harris's path, so we saw her talking to those folks in Detroit. And also, I think it was a really important moment that we saw her speaking with and appearing with 100 Republicans in battleground Pennsylvania. Harris inviting those voters to cross party lines and vote with her. And so we'll see what happens.
And Avery, if you were watching that Univision town hall with Latino voters, you saw a man who said he was a Republican. Now he's not anymore because of January 6th. He said he voted for Trump. And he's now asking, he's saying, you know, what can you do to win back my vote? How important are people like this who believe the same way this man does?
I mean, those folks can make a huge difference, especially in a race like this that's going to be won and lost on razor-thin margins. And so in response to that question from that voter, we saw him try and rewrite history on January 6th, calling it a day of love, saying his supporters were protesting peacefully, and that just does not match with the reality of what we saw on January 6th. So that voter said he was not going to support Trump. But what are the other voters like him going to do? Are they going to vote for Harris? Are they going to sit this one out? That could be a big factor in the ultimate outcome of this election.
And MaryAlice, I want to follow up on exactly what Avery was just saying. Are there new voters for the candidates to reach, or are those moderate Republicans already baked into the numbers as we've seen them?
Yeah, I think that is the question right now, Janae. Who are really the persuadable voters that are left? The Harris campaign really thinks that there's more of those moderate Republicans who do not want to vote for Trump that she can still reach. I've talked to a lot of Democratic activists that worry that she's leaving Democratic base voters on the table, specifically around the war in Gaza. You know, I spoke yesterday with one of the activists that was sort of leading that protest vote during the Democratic primary in Wisconsin. She said that she is still pledging to withhold her vote. She views herself as an undecided voter and wants Harris to do more to win over her vote. It was interesting to me the Democratic Party was also taking out ads this last week focused on Jill Stein, third-party candidates. They are worried that that could be a spoiler, but a big question about whether she's doing enough to appeal to her base voters, guys.
And Avery, another trend we're seeing on the campaign trail, both candidates playing clips, right? Trying to use their opponent's words against them. Trump has been doing that with Kamala Harris, but now we're seeing Harris do the same thing with Trump. Is there some risk for her of possibly going too negative with the campaign down the final stretch?
Well, I will say that laying out the stakes and, trying to talk about the fear of what could happen has often been something that is effective. You mentioned we have seen Trump use some dark imagery about what he believes could happen in a Kamala Harris presidency, and now we're seeing Kamala Harris use these clips. And I'm told it was actually her idea to try and use some of these clips of Donald Trump's own words at her rally. Just last night in Michigan, she used in front of a union crowd a clip of Donald Trump criticizing union workers. So we'll see how effective that is. I think that she is a former prosecutor, according to the campaign, who is laying out her evidence to make her closing argument to the American people. And so we'll see if it's effective on election night.
And MaryAlice, we are seeing some huge early voting numbers right now. What do you make of them?
Yeah, across the country, still a little bit less than what we saw in 2020 at this point, but it is a reminder that Election Day is really here. People are already voting in more than 20 states. People can already go out and vote early in person. And you're right, in really key battleground states, Georgia and North Carolina, election officials really like what they saw. They broke their turnout records for the first day of voting. Election officials say that it's a sign that people are energized, they are engaged, and that they trust the process with this election, guys.
All right, MaryAlice Parks, Avery Harper. By the way, just back from maternity leave.
Yes, I am.
Congratulations. Good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Beautiful baby.
Yeah, the
Beautiful
baby picture is amazing.
Thank you.
All right, time now for the weather. Lee Goldberg, our weather baby. Is here.
He's never been called that on TV.
That's a first.
I was looking for a transition, and that.
Is it bad that I kind of like it? All right, let's go ahead and shift to the tropics this morning, where we wake up to a newly named storm. I'll introduce you to Nadine in a moment. But this area, which has really stayed north of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, it's going to soak the Turks and Caicos. There's a window for development. It would be Oscar. It's not going to be a big storm, and then it goes into eastern Cuba. Now, Nadine formed overnight. It's going to be short-lived. It's a fourth time we've actually used the name Nadine going back to 2000. Goes into Belize, 4 to 8 inches of rain, some isolated amounts up to a foot, soaking the Yucatan as well. So 6 weeks left in the hurricane season, and the foliage season is peaking, almost coming to an end in northern New England. Stowe, you can see it right here. We'll see some much warmer temperatures coming in. It's bonus summer in the east, could be near 80 in New York City by tomorrow.
It's week 8 of college football, and ESPN's College Game Day is coming to you live from Austin, Texas this morning. As always, ESPN football analyst Desmond Howard joins us right from the mix. We're going to have more about the big game between the Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs. He's going to pop up here on screen at some point. Desmond, are you there?
There he is!
Okay, they scared me for a second. Hey, Desmond, what's happening? Let's
I'm just here with a here with a few of my friends who love the show. They really enjoy GMA. There were a little couple of unruly people coming in here, but now everything is calm.
Yeah.
And we're happy. And it's all love, and everyone's getting ready for the Georgia-Texas game.
It's all part of the experience, right? So let's go ahead and let's start with that massive SEC showdown right there in Austin tonight. And talk about Texas. Quarterback Quinn Ewers returned last week after missing a couple of games with an injury. What is your level of confidence in him today?
Yeah, that's a really good question because Quinn Ewers, he missed about a month of football, but came back in the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma. He looked good, did not look great, threw 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He had to knock the rust off. He threw for 199 yards, but you best believe, man, I was with Sarkisian 2 days ago, and Quinn Ewers, he's back to Quinn Ewers' form. I'm expecting him to have a big game tonight, 7:30 p.m. on ABC Eastern Time, baby. That's right, y'all. We ready?
Now, Desmond, you say you're with a couple of your friends who really like GMA. Make them prove it. Make them chant GMA, Desmond.
Listen. I don't know what you guys do before I get on the show, and I don't know what you do after I leave the show, because obviously I'm at work too. But you have to admit, this has to be the best part of your show. Say GMA! Oh, yeah! GMA!
We just locked in on the promo for the season.
So good. Desmond, real quick, we've only got a couple seconds. Georgia, Texas, who's going to win?
Georgia, Texas, hey, y'all, who's going to win? All my buddies back here think the team in burnt orange and white will be victorious tonight.
All right, Desmond, we love you. Thank you so much, as always. And, of course, you can catch College Game Day starting at 9 a.m. on ESPN. And later on, it's the Texas Longhorns against the Georgia Bulldogs at 7:30 Eastern right here on ABC. Now on GMA with Florida Strong. Hurricane Milton, of course, brought heavy rainfall up to a foot in the Tampa area and claimed at least 23 lives. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more on those pitching in to help communities rebuild. Morgan, good morning.
Good morning to you. Yes, truly neighbors helping neighbors. Never get tired of broadcasting and showing the helpers. Hurricanes Helene and Milton delivered a 1-2 punch to the state of Florida, right? But helpers and volunteers from the Global Empowerment Mission refused to let it become a knockout. And this morning, they are bringing in much needed supplies for the journey to rebuild and proving the Sunshine State is truly Florida strong.
This morning, communities in Florida are determined to build back better than ever after the devastation left behind by Hurricanes Helene and Milton.
It was terrifying. We haven't experienced anything quite as much as this level of weather.
Michael Capone and volunteers from the Global Empowerment Mission providing truckloads of support through their Florida Strong initiative.
If you were to drive a car along the coastal highways for probably 300 miles through Florida, almost every single house got water this high in there. That means everything inside is ruined. And not everybody has insurance. And this is why we have to do things like this.
The nonprofit, alongside members of the River Church in Tampa, stepping up in a huge way, delivering essential goods by the truckloads to Tampa Bay, one of the areas hardest hit by the deadly storms. Supplying 26 18-wheelers of emergency aid, with even more on the way. Offering critical supplies like drywall, doors, and mattresses.
It's like a fight or flight type of situation, you know what I mean? You can't go nowhere at that point, so that's all you have is the people around you.
Volunteers coming together with one common goal, to restore much-needed sunshine, well, to the Sunshine State.
So listen up, since launching Florida Strong here on GMA, more than $1.7 million has been raised to help the people affected by Hurricane Milton. And if you want to learn more about the ways that you can get involved, we've got it on our website, goodmorningamerica.com, but also the QR code as well. But it's so important to pitch in, and it's so great to see all of that.
Such an impact, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Morgan. And we'll be right back here on GMA.
Good morning, America. It's our second hour. Race for the White House, and it's a dead heat. Both candidates canvassing those critical swing states with just 17 days to the election.
From radio to the small screen.
You love this song. Where does the good go? Where does the good go?
Indie rock duo Tegan and Sara are opening up about the catfishing chaos that turned their lives upside down for more than a decade.
Is it possible that someone who knows intimate details about me is pretending to be me?
Also this morning, welcome to the Wirecutter Show. New York Times top product testers spilling the secrets on a brand new podcast and their advice on finding the perfect present for the pickiest person on your holiday shopping list.
And are you ready to rock? The countdown is on to tonight's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. And it's a celebration.
You don't hear many songs that say Yahoo.
Plus, going one-on-one with the boss, Bruce Springsteen, letting loose.
I've had so many great nights here,
As we say, good morning, America.
It's Saturday morning. This is GMA.
Oh, this is GMA, and we do say good morning, America, to you on this Saturday with that music. And it is a morning of music megastars, including that early look at George's interview with Bruce Springsteen. That is coming up. We're very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to see George out of the suit.
Look at him in that T-shirt.
Yeah, right. Looking forward to that. That's just ahead. And we begin this hour, though, with presidential politics. Just 17 days until Election Day. Vice President Harris, former President Trump showing up and honing in on swing states.
Yes, and the two candidates nearly crossing paths. Harris bringing in some big names this weekend as Trump holds two rallies in Pennsylvania. Let's go back to ABC News White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks for the very latest. MaryAlice, good morning.
Yeah, well, good morning. Harris really picking up the pace of her campaign. Both candidates had multiple events throughout Michigan yesterday. At one point, they were both in Detroit. And you're right, she has some big names joining her on the campaign trail today, musicians Lizzo and Usher.
With just 17 days to go until Election Day, former President Trump and Vice President Harris crisscrossing the state of Michigan. Harris sharpening her attacks.
He makes big promises, and he always
fails to deliver.
Calling Trump out for refusing to debate her again.
If you are exhausted on the campaign trail, it raises real questions about whether you are fit for the toughest job in the world.
Trump pushing back.
I've gone 48 days now without arrest, and I've got that loser who doesn't have the energy of a rabbit.
Harris meeting with auto worker union members in Lansing, Michigan.
We will ensure that the next generation of breakthroughs, from advanced batteries to electric vehicles, are not just invented, but built right here in America by American union workers.
Trump talking about his plan to impose steep tariffs on imported cars.
If I get elected, I'm not going to let them sell cars into our country in order to destroy the rest of Michigan.
The war in Gaza front and center for voters in Michigan, too. The state has one of the largest Arab American populations in the country. Trump commenting on Israel killing Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, praising Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the war, quote, moving along pretty good.
He's doing a good job. Biden is trying to hold him back.
Harris telling her crowd outside Detroit Sinwar's death should be a turning point.
Everyone must seize this opportunity to finally end the war in Gaza, bring the hostages home.
Now, early in-person voting starts in some places in Michigan this weekend. In more than 20 states, people can already go vote early in person. Election Day is really already here. And North Carolina this last week breaking their record for turnout for their first day of early in-person voting, despite so many in the state still dealing with the impacts of Hurricane Helene. The head of the elections there, guys, saying that it's a sign that people trust the election process and that the hurricane will not stop them.
Like you said, the election is very much underway right now. All right, MaryAlice, thank you so much. We're going to go overseas now. Both Israel and Hamas doubling down on their positions following Israel's killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burge is in Tel Aviv now with the latest. Tom, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Gio. Hezbollah upping its rocket and drone attacks this morning into northern Israel. Israel's Iron Dome air defense in full swing, but several drones getting through, one hitting a residential area in Haifa, and in a major breach, many more drones going into other areas. One drone actually going close to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's house. He wasn't there at the time. No one injured in that incident. But look, this is clearly another escalation. President Biden hoping that the killing of Yahya Sinwar would actually help dial down the temperature, bring some kind of opportunity for a ceasefire. But in reality, we're seeing an escalation up in the north, and we're also seeing the IDF ramp up its operation into northern Gaza. And all of this, guys, as Israel, of course, more broadly, weighs its attack, its retaliatory attack against Iran for that massive barrage of Iranian missiles which hit Israel at the beginning of the month. Guys?
All right, Tom, thank you. Now to the Texas takeover happening this weekend. There's that big college football matchup as Formula One also races into Austin. Jess Sims is in the Lone Star State with all of that. Jess, good morning. In our last hour, we had all the excitement with Desmond. Now you are there.
Good morning, y'all. Now listen, Austin has been known as the live music capital of the world, but after this weekend, needs to be known as the live sports capital of the world because we have so much going on down here. All right, F1 is here for its annual U.S. Grand Prix. They've been practicing the last couple of days, but tomorrow is the race. It's at 3 p.m. right here live on ESPN Plus and ABC, of course. There have been over 400,000 spectators coming to see it. But tonight is the Texas showdown for college football. We have number 5 Georgia visiting number 1 Texas for the first time in regular season history since 1958 and only the 5th time overall. Texas leads that series 4-1. It is the best record against Georgia of any team with 5 games or less. And the tickets are anywhere from $400 to over $7,000. What a warm welcome into the SEC. But speaking of the SEC, there are so many other showdowns right before the Texas showdown tonight. Is going to be number 7 Alabama at number 11 Tennessee. You don't want to miss it. 3:30 p.m. Eastern time right here on ABC, followed by that Texas-Georgia game. Don't go anywhere.
My gosh, tickets upwards of $7,000. My goodness. Jess, thank you for that. Right? Yes, and you can catch College Game Day starting at 9 a.m. on ESPN, and then later it's the Texas Longhorns against the Georgia Bulldogs at 7:30 Eastern right here on ABC.
Yep, plenty of sports today for sure. And coming up here on GMA in our morning menu, music duo Tegan and Sara are here, opening up about the online catfishing scheme they were wrapped up in for years. You don't want to miss that.
Also ahead, we're taking it to the hoop. The WNBA Finals going into a do-or-die Game 5. We'll get the very latest.
And Tori's in the house with deals and steals that you're sure to fall for. We'll be right back. You're watching GMA on a Saturday morning.
We're back now with our GMA cover story and the new documentary out now in the wake of recent headlines about toxic fan culture. Grammy-nominated indie rock duo Tegan and Sara are sharing their story and how they've been affected in Fanatical, the catfishing of Tegan and Sara, which starts streaming this weekend. Welcome to you both. Thank you for being here this morning. Yeah, so Tegan, this isn't a music documentary that people might be expecting.
Yeah,
what's been going on.
There's some musical moments in there, but yeah, this is more of a scary, true crime look at fandoms and the dark side of fandoms, and it's perfect for Halloween if you like scary movies. But yeah, it takes a look at, you know, the darker side of a period of our career where people maybe loved us a little too much, and somebody started to pretend to be me, and were able to trick dozens of fans and family and friends of mine and a lot of other people into thinking that they were having a friendship and in some cases relationships with me. And it was something that really traumatized us when it first happened. We kind of just put it away a few years ago and tried to move on, and it's kind of come up again recently, and I've spent the last year and a half involved in a documentary, sort of reinvestigating it and trying to figure out what happened.
And awful for you, but also awful for the people who fell for it as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we have a clip right now. Let's take a look.
The fact that they knew that my mom had had cancer, and that wasn't something we publicly talked about. It's not something we publicly talk about now. It was creepy. Like because it introduced the idea that it's someone we know. Is it possible that someone who knows intimate details about me is pretending to be me?
And Sara, obviously, Chappell Roan, right? We've been hearing about her talk about this toxic fan culture, but we're also seeing that, you know, many are being forced to be these creators now online, and that adds a whole other stress.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting time just to introduce this idea that this isn't just musicians, artists, people who are on television. I mean, I think that we're seeing this across the board. I mean, teenagers who are getting their first social media accounts. Like, there is this incredible pressure, profound pressure to make yourself into sort of a public person, even not against your will, but it sort of feels like there is just this like peer pressure. And the sort of downside of that, I guess, is you know, stuff like what we're talking about with catfishing, but it can also just be about self-esteem. It can be so depleting.
And we were talking about this before we came on too. Like, we've had fake accounts created, and it's like constant on social media.
I was sorry about doing that.
Yeah, right. Yours is okay though. But you know, but it's like, but they're reaching out to people. They're trying to make friends. Sometimes they're trying to get money from people, and that's such a huge problem, even on a smaller scale. And Tegan, my question to you, like, what would your message be to fans out there about like boundaries in an appropriate way? I mean, we all want to be fans, right? But
Sure.
how do we approach that connection?
Look, I think the vast majority of us just love art, television culture, our favorite basketball stars, whatever. You get excited when you see them. We were at Comic-Con yesterday. I saw so many famous people. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, I think it's read the room.
Yeah.
I also think
maybe don't do anything to people that you wouldn't want done to you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, you know.
I hope, honestly, people just watch the movie and just think about their actions online. Be kind, be compassionate. I think we could use more of that in our world anyway. And ultimately, the whole point of making music for me is that it should be the soundtrack to your life. You should care more about the music and how it affects you than you should about me. And Sara said this the other day, you should also care more about the people who are actually in your life. This parasocial relationship we have with celebrity, I just think we just need to take a reset and take a look at it.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful way to think of it.
Yes.
Thank you. Making it for the other person. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Really beautiful.
And just everything you guys are talking about, the compassion. I mean, we need more of it in the world. And thank you guys for sharing.
Thank you.
To be clear, we know you love your fans, by the way, too.
Yeah,
It's like
the
next
vast
level
majority are
stuff.
wonderful
Yes,
people.
exactly.
Wonderful people.
Totally. All right. Thank you both.
Thanks, you guys.
Fanatical, the catfishing of Tegan and Sara, streaming now on Hulu. And now let's send it over to the Lee Goldberg for another check of the weather.
Kind and compassionate. I can try that. All right, let's go ahead and shift to the west. That's where all the weather is. And first, it's about the fires. This is the Keller fire. It's near Oakland, California. You see them working on that roof there. 2 homes impacted and dozens threatened. It's actually one of 3 fires. The Hay fire has actually burned over 800 acres. That's between San Francisco and Sacramento. 70% contained. It's because of the storm out in the Four Corners. A lot of dry air. I mean, 5% humidity, and that's, of course, because of all the summer heat. And then you can see the 55-mile-per-hour gusts. This will ease as we go through the next 24 hours. Big snows, of course, in the Rockies, especially the San Juan Mountains. There could be an additional 1 to 2 feet of snow south and east of Telluride. Some of the 6-inch amounts have gotten all the way up to Big Sky.
Turning now to the WNBA Finals, heating up as the Minnesota Lynx beat the New York Liberty last night, forcing a winner-take-all Game 5 in this year's championship. ESPN host Elle Duncan, she is back with us this morning with all the highlights. Elle, it's been such a long time. It's great to see you. Good morning.
It's so great to see you. Good morning.
So let's jump right into Game 4 last night, right? Neck and neck. It was all tied up, 80-80, leading up to that final buzzer. What stood out to you?
Oh man, okay, so this game sort of models, or this series rather, models my closet. It has been total and complete chaos. In Game 1, of course, we saw the Lynx overcome an 18-point deficit. In Game 2, we saw the Lynx try to do it again before the Liberty pulled away. Game 3, it was the Liberty that had to overcome a 15-point deficit earmarked by Breanna Stewart's 30-piece, and of course that logo shot from Sabrina Ionescu. What stood out to me was this was for the first time a game that offered so much parity. 27 lead changes or ties, the biggest lead being just 6 points. We saw Courtney Williams, who's done a little bit of everything in this series, really get in her bag. As she said, her Birkin bag, dishing, Kayla McBride pacing them with 19 points. What stood out to me is that the Lynx did what they've been able to do all season long, lean on their defense. We saw poor shooting nights from Sabrina Ionescu and Breanna Stewart after those Game 3 heroics, and the Lynx were able to force a Game 5 without a huge contribution offensively from Nafisa Collier. It was exactly the kind of matchup that we'd been expecting to happen after what has just been a roller coaster series so far.
All right, Elle Duncan for us. So much fun. Can't wait to catch the next one. We'll talk to you soon. Remember, don't miss Game 5 of the WNBA Finals tomorrow, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Gio, over to you.
All right, guys, you are going to love this right now because this is time for Deals and Steals. It is our fall festive finale. Tori Johnson is here. There is no place like home. I know you say that.
And we got a lot of good stuff for home.
Okay.
So you love cooking with oil, fried foods, but the cleanup, not so
A mess.
fun.
Yeah.
Very messy. So Fryaway makes it very easy. So you see right there in that bowl, it's this powder. It's a cooking oil solidifier. And so what you would do is just add that straight into the oil. You let it cool, and then it solidifies so that it is easier to throw away. And because it is plant-based, it then will can just go out with any of your waste, like an organic waste. So it's the easiest way to clean up after you fry. These are 2 packs for $15.
I mean, that's
so
brilliant.
smart.
Okay, look at all
Once
the
again, home,
designs here.
It's such pretty, eco-friendly because they replace disposable things. So the towels, super absorbent, come in 2 sizes. What I love about the sponges is that they've got a charcoal in the inside that helps keep them fresh. So not only are they great and 2-sided to deal with either abrasive or just areas that need a little quick cleanup, but they're gonna stay fresher longer. Any option of these, and the patterns, by the way, are gorgeous, $8.
So smart, so
All right,
smart. Okay, let's go to
Light.
the grill.
I love Grill Light. So we've got a big variety of options here to make your outdoor evening barbecuing brighter and easier. So the spatulas that have the built-in lights on these, you see it right there.
That is so cool.
So smart to have your light ups. But then they also make a lot of other really great tools. Those right there, those grill claws, super sharp, not a joke.
Yeah,
very
you can
sharp.
feel it.
So that's going to help with shredding. If you're shredding beef, it's going to be great. Or you can use 2 of them to pick up a large piece of meat. I also love their grill mats. This turns your grill into a griddle. So if you're using the grill, but you want to do it with like shrimp, veggies, or something that tends to fall through, this prevents that from happening. Everything 50% off starts at $10.
$10.
All right,
Okay,
then
you blew my mind with
I
this.
know. This is a Sobu. We've got 2 really cool products from them. So this is their 2-in-1 tumbler. So you can put your cold drinks in here, but that's later in the day, I want to have my hot coffee. This unscrews. You pull this out. You've got then your insulated tumbler here. It comes with the extra lid to be able to put on top of this. So this is an easy 2-in-1. It's also great for storage. And then we have their Bestie bottles. These are great for kids because these little silicone character heads come off. I know, I set that one easy. These little ones come off on top so that they're collectible and shareable. And then they've got a straw inside, which makes them really friendly for kids. These are adorable. Put them in the stockings. The kids are going to love them this year. Everything slashed in half from Asobi starts at $12.50.
Oh my gosh, my
they're
niece
really
and nephew
fun.
are
And by the way,
love this.
adults like those too.
Yeah.
I'm like saying they're for kids, but hello, I like them too. Cheryl's Cookies. You are eyeing some of these.
I was looking at the pumpkin chocolate chip here, and you know that I always look at ingredients.
Yes.
And you said, oh, I don't know, sugar.
It's sweet.
I looked at this.
Yeah, and you're
really
impressed
good ingredients.
because they use real ingredients.
Yeah.
So it's all about real butter, real buttercream, real sugar. It's the real thing from Cheryl's. You know, one of our colleagues, Sarah Haynes, this is one of her favorites.
Oh, really?
She begs me all the time, bring back Cheryl's. So we've got 5 sets, including one for Halloween. These are fun. They make people smile. They're all slashed in half, starting at $17.50.
Love it.
And then finally, this is really fun. This is Herb and Lou's, and these are pre-mixed, pre-made little cocktail cubes. So they come in these cubes right there in the front that you put into the freezer. So whenever you're ready to make a cocktail, all you have to do is add in your mixer. And you can either use seltzer to make a mocktail, a spirit-free drink, or you can use the spirit of your choice, and you make these delicious. They taste like perfection, like you're a bartender, because they do all the mixing for you. So if you want, pink grapefruit Paloma, they've got so many fancy beverages. And again, it makes everybody like a mixologist, an impressive mixologist for your guests when they come over. So the sets today, all 50% off. They're really fun, very upscale.
You knock it out of the park.
Aw,
Wonderful
thank
finale.
you.
Thank you so much, Tori. And we've partnered, of course, with all of these companies. Find each deal on our website, goodmorningamerica.com.
Now with Win the Weekend, and one woman celebrating some good news with a big reaction. Take a look.
Say grandparents.
No. 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 Wait.
Yes.
So that's their son-in-law behind the camera, pretending to take a photo, telling them to say grandparents, with grandma to be going from shock to disbelief to tears, all in just a matter of seconds.
I love her reaction.
You know, but it was like Grandpa's reaction. He's still like this, waiting for the picture the whole time.
Yeah, trying to piece it all together. The video's been seen nearly 8 million times on TikTok. Love that. So sweet.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them. No!
Yes, is the answer.
Welcome back to GMA.
Look at Times
on
Square.
This Saturday morning. A gorgeous day out there. It doesn't look that great from these Oh, they've got the shade on.
That's what it is.
It's not bad. Coming up in our next half hour, it's The Climb and how 2 world-class adventurers are taking viewers to new heights.
Looking forward to that. But first, let's take a look at some of the top headlines that we're following right now. More than 15 million people are under fire weather alerts in California due to dry and windy conditions. The alerts span from Redding to Sacramento to San Francisco to Burbank. 3 fires sparked on Friday in Northern California. The Keller fire in the Oakland area has already impacted 2 homes and threatened dozens of others.
An alarming new report about obesity in American kids and teens. The Centers for Disease Control saying since 1999, obesity among ages 2 and 19 jumped more than 7%. Severe obesity jumped more than 3%. Children experiencing obesity are at a higher risk for illnesses, including asthma and type 2 diabetes.
And Hugh Jackman is returning to the New York stage. The actor making this announcement on Instagram. Take a look.
Hi, guys. Sorry. It's just me.
Ryan couldn't make it. Can you believe that? I was there for him. I'm always there for him, whatever. Anyway, also, by the way, I'm actually not sorry. You know, that's not the reason of this video. This is my show. This is mine. My new live show is coming to Radio City Music Hall, and tickets are going on sale. Can't wait to do it, and I'll see you soon.
Oh my God, I'm so bored right now. Obviously, that was Jackman's good friend Ryan Reynolds right there saying he was bored. But, you know, tickets are for Hugh Jackman live from New York with Love. It's a special 12-show run at Radio City Music Hall. They are on sale right now.
That's great. He's so funny. All right, we are now going backstage with the boss. That, of course, is Bruce Springsteen. And he's opening up to our George Stephanopoulos in a new special airing tomorrow right here on ABC. No topic was off limits here. And this morning, we have an early look.
Did you ever have a real job before writing songs and performing?
You're looking at a guy that has never had an actual job in his life. You know, I started at 15. I went down to this local swim club outside of Freehold, and I came home with $5. I said, this is incredible. I made $5 tonight playing music. And I just took it from there, you know?
Took it and ran with it. Nearly 50 years after signing his first recording contract, Bruce recently sold his entire music catalog to Sony for a reported $550 million, making the singer, known for his songs celebrating blue-collar America, a billionaire.
Do you remember what it was like not to be famous?
Well, yeah, I do. Starting when I was 25 was sort of when I got a lot of attention.
Time and Newsweek in the same week.
Right, which at the time, they were very influential magazines, and they were very serious publications. So when they put a young 25-year-old kid from New Jersey on it, it was kind of a big deal at the time.
The band, we were here on that little street corner when nobody was here.
With its rich history, staging countless iconic acts over the years, no trip to Asbury would be complete without stopping by the Stone Pony, just miles from where Bruce still lives.
So much of your career began right here. So what happens when you walk through the door?
God, I guess I first came here when I was late 20s. I was my children's age, half a lifetime ago, literally. I've had so many great nights here, you know, so much fun. So that's the E Street Band's been around for 50 years. This place has been here for 50 years. It's amazing. I mean, clubs don't last like that. Bars don't last like that, you know.
So cool, that inside look. By the way, George, a huge music fan. Get to see him in the T-shirt. You know, laid back George in this one. For more of the interview, you can watch Bruce Springsteen backstage and backstreets. That's tomorrow again, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on ABC. And then Bruce's documentary, Road Diary, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. That streams on October 25th on Hulu and Disney+.
Awesome. We are back now with our series Power and Pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month and the 5 pantry go-tos that could help lower your risk of breast cancer and support your overall health. Dietitian Rachel Beller is here. She's the best-selling author of Spice Rack. Thank you so much for being with us, Rachel. So it's important to note that no single food or diet can prevent or cure cancer, but these all pack a nutritional punch.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. Yeah. Very important to note that no single food or diet can prevent or cure cancer, but what we eat over time collectively could make a difference.
All right, important to know. So first up, I haven't gotten into mushrooms, dehydrated mushrooms. Tell me about them.
So we're talking about our Power Pantry, and of course, fresh mushrooms are incredible, but in our Power Pantry, we can keep dry, dehydrated mushrooms, so we can always have them on hand. And when it comes to breast cancer risk reduction, I love these because they're rich in aromatase inhibitors, which support reducing breast cancer risk. And it's so easy. You always have it on hand, which is great. They're also rich in beta-glucans, which is a soluble fiber that supports our gut health, which supports our immune function. So really good there, and they're budget friendly. You always have them around. You can get all kinds of different mushrooms. And then people ask me, what do you do with this? So you cook it like you would pasta. just longer, about 30 minutes, strain it, and then you can saute it. You're good to go.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad, right? Yeah. Brett's like, oh, okay, yeah. The studio thinks that sounds great.
Totally doable, which is great.
Yes, moving on to ground flax and sesame seeds.
Yes, but before we do that, oats also are rich in beta-glucans, which is incredible. So sprouted
I wasn't
oats.
sure if we were saying you were going to put those things in the oats or what it is. Okay, so overground oats.
Yes.
Or just regular oatmeal too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you see the sprouted, it enhances the nutrient absorption, but it's not a must.
Yeah.
Just a little pro tip, but they're also rich in beta-glucan, supports our immune function.
So the beta-glucans, those are good things.
Really good things.
Okay,
Special
so
fibers.
Now we're going to go to the ground flax sesame seed.
Yes, so these foods, ground flax, sesame seeds, are rich in lignans. Flax seeds have lignans, and those support our hormonal balance, which is important when it comes to reducing breast cancer risk. Also, if you spot the sprouted ground, grab them. The cost difference it's not that much, but really great because it also enables us to absorb more of those important nutrients as well.
So you're saying if you can find it and ground it up at home yourself?
Yes, it should be ground, and if you see it sprouted, great.
Yeah.
If not, it's still great. Sesame seeds, second highest source of lignans.
Really?
And yes, amazing, and you can just sprinkle that on a salad.
Sesame seeds are good and very versatile.
Really good, and they're so flavorful. And then you have a tahini paste. You can also make a dip out of that, and of course, I spice everything, hence spice racks. I've got my super sumac here that you can further elevate the nutritional power. And we have all this with the book and the blends.
I'm glad you said that because we're running out of time. So real quick, want to get to a juice. You said always keep a drink on hand.
Yes, so this is matcha, rich in EGCG, powerful antioxidants. This is meant to stay. Matcha is here to stay. A lot of research when it comes to breast health. Yes, so this is great. One little tip. If you add a little bit of citrus into your matcha, your body will absorb more of the EGCG. So that's a great tip right there.
Good to know.
Yes.
And then just real quick, keeping fiber around.
Fiber boosters are important. Basil seeds, whole hemp, chia seeds. You really want to crank up that fiber to help reduce breast cancer risk. So this is an easy way to do it. You could add these fiber boosters to salsa, to guac, to quinoa, anything. And again, we have all of this at bellanutrition.com, all packaged for you.
And just good nutritional punch for you. Thank you so much, Rachel.
So great to be here.
And now let's go back to Lee for another look at the weather.
All right, my football buffet got healthier tomorrow. Okay, so we switched to some breaking weather news in the tropics. That low north of the Dominican Republic, unfortunately looking healthier, could be a depression. Even Oscar later in the day soaks the Turks and Caicos and actually heads over to parts of eastern Cuba. And then Nadine was named overnight. It's going to be short-lived. It goes into Belize with 4 to 8 inches of rain, maybe a foot of rain, parts of the Yucatan as well. 6 weeks left in the hurricane season, the foliage season winding down in northern New England, past peak, places like Stowe. You know, the foliage season is a little slower because of the warmth. We're warming right back up. We're near 80 in Chicago and New York City early next week.
And now to the documentary teaming up Alex Honnold and Tommy Caldwell. They're two of the world's best rock climbers, and they took a 2,600-mile journey and adventure by bicycle, boat, and mountain. Here's a look at the two on a daring climb working together to make the summit.
Wow. I mean, it looks easy, but it's super exposed.
Pretty exciting. Are we roping up there, Tommy?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Tommy got scared.
Yeah, I kind of want to rope up. It's a little unnerving.
I'm coming.
I know that Alex wants to just stay unroped. You know, he's a free soloist. But he stops, and we rope up for the next section of the climb. Which is kind of nice. I was like, oh, he's taking it seriously. He kind of cares about me a little bit.
Wow. It's like Gio when he was climbing the Empire State Building. Remember that?
Yes.
Very cool stuff. Looking forward to that. All right, now to music's highest honor happening tonight in Cleveland, the 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony just hours away. And we got a sneak peek. Take a look.
Cleveland is ready to rock ahead of tonight's big show at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
2, 3.
They put out platinum albums, garnered Grammys, and sold out stadiums.
I wanna know what love is.
And now 8 elite artists are among those joining the ranks at Rock Hall, from Dave Matthews Band,
Crash into me.
GMA going all access in rehearsal with the Jam Band, to Peter Frampton reflecting on a career full of highs and surviving a few of the lows.
I'm very lucky, and I think I'm better off for having had a few pitfalls along the way.
Also among this year's inductees are Mary J. Blige, Foreigner, A Tribe Called Quest, Ozzy Osbourne, Cher. And ready to celebrate is Kool and the Gang.
You don't hear many songs that say Yahoo. I'm still pinching myself. It's very humbling and very appreciative for this. It's wonderful.
What a list of honorees. Just incredible, right? Those are just some on that list. Jimmy Buffett and Dionne Warwick also being celebrated as well. The 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony streams live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on Disney+.
Cannot wait for that.
Yep.
All right, coming up here, from cell phones to standing mixers, product testers from the New York Times Wirecutter are here to spill the secrets on the everyday items that you love. We're back here in a moment on GMA. And welcome back to GMA and the Wirecutter Show. It is taking center stage right now. It's the New York Times podcast offering expert advice on everyday products. And the hosts, Christine Cyr-Clisette and Kyra Blackwell, are here to help share some helpful hacks. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Okay, so this is really right up my alley because I just test everything all the time.
He does.
Do you?
Yes. He will buy multiples.
Well, and then I'm sort of, my best friend says I rave and return. Sometimes I like test, I love it, and then I change my mind. But tell us about the Wirecutter podcast here, because you go through everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wirecutter, we recommend all products for your entire home, lots of tech products. But our podcast is we're always recommending products in the podcast, but that's not really the foundation of the podcast. We really are trying to approach every episode by solving a problem that listeners might have, whether that's cleaning air pollution from their home, or doing their laundry better, or whether to get their kid a cell phone. So we're always talking about products, and we'll recommend our picks in the episode, but it really is about solving problems. And we have a newsroom of 140 journalists, deep expertise in their fields, and so we bring on experts from our newsroom to talk through the problem. And sometimes the solutions are totally free or things that you already have in your home.
Fascinating. And Kara, you say that this experience taught you to be a better adult? What do you mean by that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I am kind of new to the adult world. I just turned 27 this year, and I feel like I'm still really winging it. And I feel like
we all are.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't matter how old you get.
Still a mess.
Well, maybe that never goes away. But I really have felt that in making these episodes, I have learned something new every single time about how to just be a better person. Whether it's again like doing my laundry, or maybe
jumping on beds,
jumping on mattresses, because I've tested over 100 at this point for Wirecutter, so now I sleep better than I think most people in the world.
Wow. It's Kyra, right?
Yes, it's Kyra.
We'll have to get the insight on that. And Christine, we were talking about this before we came on. You mentioned it, kids and cell phones.
Yes.
So I know you have young kids. I do in middle school, and this is like the age when we're trying to figure this out. So you put this to the test.
Yes.
What did you learn?
Well, we did an episode on whether you should get your kid a cell phone. And obviously, this has been a big topic over the last few years. There's a lot of research that's come out around the dangers of social media with kids.
And what ages
and
right,
what
and all
age
that
to
stuff.
do it.
Yeah.
There's so much judgment involved. And we did this episode with one of our internal experts about the phones you should think about getting, and also with an expert around just talking about how to talk to your kids about technology. And the real outcome of that episode, I found, is that I felt a lot less fearful about giving my kid a phone, but it also opened my eyes to how many opportunities you have as a parent to mentor your kids with technology. Texting is something that kids don't know how to do, and this is a great opportunity to kind of be your sidekick with your kid and see what they're texting and see and teach them what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. That's probably the biggest skill kids don't know how to do with a phone, and I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
Like
huge discussion
yes,
in my house,
huge
by
discussion.
the way.
I mean, my 11, don't do that. My
You know,
11-year-old keeps sending chain letters, and I keep telling her,
Oh my gosh.
That's just so annoying. Don't do that.
Okay, so you got to subscribe to the Wirecutter Show right now. Thank you both so
Thank
very
you.
much.
And big thanks to the one and only Lee Goldberg in the house this morning.
my
He stayed up late. You got up early. We're streaming on ABC News Live all weekend long with the latest news.
Yes. See, I was supposed to say thanks to Lee Goldberg. Thanks to Whit Johnson.
Keep it coming.
Thank you, Lee.